What's up, guys? It's Coach Beard back with you for another exciting episode of Outside the Lab. Tonight we've got one of our own with us. We're kind of doing a thing where on Wednesdays we're dropping an episode with one of our coaches or strength coaches inside the organization. And very, very excited and pleased to welcome Coach Bryan Duckworth from our 12U team. Coach Duckworth brings a ton of experience, background within the organization, has been a part of it for several years now, has really seen the thing grow into what it is now with the Performance Center and 10-plus teams. So brings a ton of knowledge and perspective. Very, very excited to have him on tonight. Coach Duckworth, welcome to the show.
Coach Beard, thank you very much. It's an honor to be on here. Just looking back at the past guests on the podcast, you got coaches from UNCC, you got coaches from Duke, Elon. I wonder sometimes, what's Coach Duckworth doing on here? But it's an absolute honor. And, yeah, I like to give a little insight inside the lab to let people know what the organization, is all about, where we've been, where we're going.
There you go. Hey, no, don't kid yourself. We're sticking with the big time having you on tonight, Coach. Hey, start here. Take us through your background and kind of the perspective you're coming from. Introduce your family and kind of catch us up to current day where you're at.
Yeah, my bio, man, it goes way back, and my baseball career really, from my choice, was cut very short in high school. I started out high school playing baseball, and fortunate enough, I threw a bowling ball since I was able to walk, and got to a point in high school. My sophomore year, I was nursing a hand injury, and took the extra time to go do some extra league bowling, and fortunate enough one night to shoot the first perfect game ever that was sanctioned in Burke County.
Wow.
About the second in the Catawba Valley area. So moving forward after that, I had to make a decision. I fortunate enough, I had a couple offers to bowl professionally a little bit, right out of high school, even a little bit into my senior year. And at that point, I had to make a decision whether I was going to continue that route or, continue my amateur status. Back then, if you bowl professionally, you had to forego your amateur status, which meant no high school baseball. Tough decision, for a kid 15, 16 years old, but it's funny how things worked out. I was able to travel to Southeast and fortunate enough to bowl a little bit. And, a couple years, came back home, got a job in the local center there in Morganton as a maintenance technician. And, beyond that, I had about year 2000, had an opportunity to go to town of Valdez and get involved with recreation maintenance there. Recreation program. I ended up at Public Works, working maintenance there, working utilities. Fortunate enough to be offered a Public Works director and stayed there until 2020. About that time, Grant started doing some stuff athletes lab-wise in the town of Maiden. And, I got interested in Maiden a little bit and thought, wow, it'd be nice to come down here to work one day. And fortunate enough, a couple of weeks ago, I got that offer. So working the town of Maiden now and, enjoying it. It's been an absolute wonderful change. It's a wonderful little town. And, I'm looking forward to what Athletes Lab can bring to Maiden. I think there's an excellent opportunity there. For years, Maiden's been known as the little football capital of the world. And I think with Athletes Lab and what they're offering, they got a chance to really reach out to the baseball and softball area or in the area and really put Maiden on the map. Not locally, but regionally. I mean, you got kids coming from everywhere to be a part of Athletes Lab. And any given night, it brings 100 people into town to that little facility. So I think it's an awesome asset to the town of Maiden.
Yeah, awesome, man. I tell you, I thought I knew you. I had no idea the whole bowling background of things like that. And, man, you've done a lot. Folks, I told you, Coach brings a ton of background and experience and knowledge. And, man, Maiden is certainly lucky to have you. I know you got your Maiden blue on there. So, and you're right. I think And we've talked about this within the organization some, is the location being so close to 321, connecting us, not just to the Catawba Valley with Hickory and Burke and Caldwell County, but also headed down toward Lincoln and Gastonia and some of the folks who, for years have gone to Charlotte for their training and for things like that. Now, may have more of a inclination to come up to us because of the location. So I agree. Certainly excited to be a part of the town and hoping to, like you said, bring value not just to our athletes and to the folks within the organization, but the whole community at large. That's what it's really about. Talk about this for me. So obviously Carson has been playing baseball forever, and you guys, I'm sure were with the rec up in Valdez or something along those lines. Tell me about how you got connected with Grant and Athletes Lab and actually moved your team into the organization.
Yeah, Carson started out playing baseball at the Y and then moved to the rec in Mountain View, and played with Todd Jenkins for a while. Played against Todd Jenkins. Man, those were the days. And Todd actually was the original Athletes Lab. Back then it was Crushers Baseball. And when Sean was about 8 or 9, him and Carson are a year apart. And Todd kind of started the travel thing. About a year after he was in it, he approached me about starting a team when Carson turned 9. And I was like, I don't know if I can coach this travel stuff or not. And fortunate enough at that time, trying to fulfill our team there, and ran across Sean Yambor. So we coached together there the first year that our team was active. And I can't say enough about Coach Yambor. He took me under his wing and showed me, how to run a college style practice, how to get the most out of your practice. Me and him work well together. Sean does a lot of things that I don't do good well, and I was able to throw a little tidbit in there, some things that he'll tell you he didn't do very well. And we worked very well together there the first year. And that's kind of how we got into the travel ball world. And since then, Coach Yambor, we've split up, and he started his own team and a very successful 11U team at this point. So, that's kind of how it all got started, and I'm sure that's the way a lot of organizations get started. But Grant said it for years, man. It's all about good people, and if you surround yourself with a good inner circle and good people, good things are going to happen.
No, that's right. I could not agree more with that. I know we talk about the people within the organization all the time is really what makes it. So certainly it's amazing how many people Todd has brought together in this organization. I feel like Todd knows everybody, and certainly with Sean, Coach Yambor, you guys have even just in my experience worked very, very well together. Teaming up for practices and inter squads and really playing off each other. So that's cool. Now this all happened, as you said, when Carson was 9. So they're now 12U. So going on your 4th season, is that right?
So yeah, we're actually in our 4th season. It seems a lot longer than that. Sometimes it seems like time flies, and then sometimes it seems like you've been doing it forever. And this is one of those things where you do feel like you've been doing it forever.
Yeah. So 4 years. Wow. So, and I've only been, with Athletes Lab half of that time. So I can only imagine, what this next answer is going to be like. So talk about growth within the organization, kind of where it all started to where we're at now with, beautiful brand new 30,000 square foot facility, 10 plus teams, ton of fantastic things going on. Talk about how you've seen that evolve and grow and change for the good in those 4 years.
Yeah, when Coach Yambor and I kind of split up and we had 2 separate teams there, it's probably one of the first years that Athletes Lab actually had multiple teams playing. And we were always telling Grant, man, we need a place to call home. We need a place to call home. We were practicing this facility and that facility and just wherever we could get a field or a little bit of indoor work. And, we kept saying, Grant, we feel like this thing can grow. We need a home. And, Grant said, we're working, man. I'm working on it. And no idea that it would ever evolve into a 30,000 square foot facility that we've got now. and are fortunate enough to be able to practice in at any time. Grant has just, and it all started, Cam, when he hired the high school coaches in the area. Yambor and I talked to a lot of organizations, and they were wanting us to bring our teams there. But, once Grant made the commitment to hire the high school coaches in the area to let our older kids grow and grow with them, man, Yambor and I always said, if there was a better opportunity out there, we would be there. But, there is no other organization in the area that's got the contacts locally that Athletes Lab does with all the high school coaches in the area. And, Lord, you just keep on naming the college contacts that Grant and Aaron, and you guys have gotten. It's all about contacts moving forward for these kids, and no other organization can match what we got going on.
Yeah, no doubt. I'd say Grant came through big time on that promise of a place to call home there. So, and if you haven't been down, folks, you got to come see it and take advantage of all the things there. So kind of go there next. I mean, obviously, you say it's a place where you guys can come for team practices year round, especially with the turf space in the back that's wide open. You can go there individually to work with your son or daughter. But talk about some of the things, because now, we're making a big push into strength and conditioning and hiring Audrey and Ryan and the fantastic things they've done, even in just a short amount of time this year. Talk about some of the things that you've really encouraged your guys to take advantage of, because there's really a ton that the Performance Center offers, and those opportunities are only going to increase as time goes by. So where are you pushing your guys?
Yeah, that's true, and there's a lot of people that's taking advantage of the facility right now. I mean, you've got college kids coming in there to work. You've got pro kids coming in there to work. We were fortunate enough the other week to be throwing a bullpen in there, and young man from Maiden, Caden O'Brien, was over there throwing, and Bryce Stober was catching him. And I told the kids when we got finished, I said, who was over there throwing beside of you? And they was like, no. I was like, that's Caden O'Brien. I said, he's a stud at Carolina. And, you got the starting catcher for LR right there. So, their eyes opened up and they went over there to watch a little bit of bullpen and things like that is what the facility brings value to the younger kids. And I hope our older kids do realize the impact and how these younger kids do look up to them. And I hope down the road, I will always encourage my kids, there's going to be a point down that road that you're going to have to turn around and give back. You're going to be the older kid and the younger kids are going to be looking up to you. So, that's a little tidbit. That's, outside your question you answered there, but, very important right there of what the facility has to offer. But, with the addition of Audrey and Ryan, strength and agility right now, especially where we are at the 12U level, trying to play up, there is a big, and a lot of it's got to do with maturity and body development. But we are behind in the strength side of things. Moving to the big field, the game actually slows back down. 12U baseball's played at 50-70, and it's pretty fast paced on that small of a field. It's kind of like girls softball, really, played at that fast pace. But when you go to the big field, the game actually, slows back down, but the strength side of it really comes into play. So I'm trying to push my kids, especially during this off time with the COVID stuff, to really work on your strength and agility. It's all about getting bigger, faster, stronger. You can have all the talent in the world. You can square it up. But, if you can't get it out of the infield when you square it up, that's an issue right now. So, it's we've got all the talent in the world in this baseball team, but, we've got to get bigger, faster, stronger. And I think that's where we're headed, especially during this downtime.
No, I agree. And Coach, man, you hit on a ton of good nuggets there. I'm going to try to dissect that piece by piece. And I couldn't agree more with what you said at the beginning. And I'm so glad you brought it up. I tell people, I said it before on here, and I say it every chance I get. One of my favorite parts about the facility is seeing the interaction between the different age groups. And like you hit on, not just with folks within the organization, 8 to 16 years old, but you're talking about, Bryce being in there, who, obviously our kids know him from the area, had a great first 20, 25 games to the year with LR. You look over and there's Caden, like you're talking about, who pitched incredibly well in Omaha and has had a tremendous career so far at Carolina. A couple pro guys, you never know who's going to be there. And watching those guys, the way they go about their work, the way they are intentional with every rep, be it in the weight room, when they're throwing, whether it's, just throwing to get loose, keep their arm in shape, a bullpen, seeing guys hit, take ground balls. And again, I'm glad you said too, it's not just about those guys being in the facility. That's certainly an added bonus and is great, but it's our kids who are at that high school age, who, and I remind them of this too, hey, that 9-year-old over there in cage 4, he's watching you, man. He's watching everything you're doing. Make sure you're setting the right example, and you're kind of taking these guys under your wing and kind of bringing them up and what this program is all about. So that's certainly an added bonus of having our own place and having folks of all ages in there working and getting better. And you're right, at all age groups, but particularly where your guys are at, headed into middle school. I mean, they're right at the time where strength and conditioning starts to become a really, really big component of their training. And there's been so many opportunities, even during the shutdown, like you said, the workouts with Ryan and Aldra virtually 2 days a week during this have been nothing short of incredible. The things they're doing in the Performance Center, whether it's, body weight type stuff, more where your guys are at. Nobody's saying your guys need to be under a squat rack or things like that right now with a ton of weight, but the Vertimax sessions, the in-season training they were doing, really prepping their body, learning how to move, learning how to move well and properly and build that base of strength so that when that time does come, and by the way, it's coming sooner rather than later, they're ready to step in that weight room and take their training to the next level. So couldn't agree more with all those things. And I hope, all the folks listening are really taking to heart the push toward the weight room. Cause you're right. That's a real separator as guys start to move forward and really as they go to the big field. So really glad that you hit on that. Let's talk about middle school. We said, your guys are at that age. And I think all but one of your guys were on a middle school team this year. The only one that wasn't, of course, was Carson. That's because he's still in elementary school and certainly will be next year. But talk about how you've had to adapt. I mean, you go from starting tournament play the first or second week of February most years to now, the middle school season really takes precedence. What those guys are doing should be at the forefront. And Athletes Lab and the travel stuff kind of takes a back seat until that's over. Talk about adjustments you've made and kind of coexisting with the middle school coaches and really working alongside them.
Yeah, I'll back up just a little bit right here. We're actually a 12U baseball team. We made the commitment this fall that we were going to start doing some big field stuff, which meant we were going to have to play up at the 13U level. And our thinking there was, why are we not preparing these kids for middle school and beyond? Why are we still here playing 12U baseball on a 50-70 size field with 200-foot fences? That's doing our kids no good at this point. They have got to be ready for tryouts come spring 2020. And that was our goal. That was my goal a long time ago, was to get these kids to middle school. Once I get these kids to middle school, they're going to be turned over to you guys, and hopefully they will be able to spread their wings and fly. But, we asked the question, now is the time. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I'll get pushed back from anybody and everybody in a travel ball organization. 12U baseball is an absolute mess right now. And it is a mess because of sixth graders being allowed to play middle school baseball.
That's right.
And middle school baseball plays on the regulation size field. And I'll use this kind of little adage here. If you think about it, home plate to second base is, I think, 123 feet on the diamond. And when you're playing 12U baseball, a lot of times you're playing on field that's got home run fences of 200 feet. So, put that in your mind. A ball in the gap is probably a fly ball in the infield or a line drive to shortstop.
That's right.
So, and I understand it. Parents like to see their kids hit home runs. Kids like to hit home runs. But I tell you what, I saw it this spring. Our kids know they're playing up. I tell them all the time. Just because you're playing up, that bullseye on your back gets bigger because nobody wants to lose to a younger team. But I can see it in their eyes. I had several kids. Fortunate enough, you burn an outfielder or hit one in the gap for a double or a triple, and that smile on their face is just as big as if they hit a home run playing 12U on a 200-foot fence, man.
Sure.
And they know what they did. They know that was big time. So, that's a little bit of a thought of how we were trying to prepare our kids for middle school.
Yeah, and let's stay there for a second. I think that's a great place to stay. And I remember very well you guys made that decision and that commitment this fall to play up, and really more than anything, approach the fall with a long-term plan in place. That fall last year wasn't about those 3 months or those 8 tournaments. It was about where your guys were going to be come February, March, and obviously prior to the shutdown. But the advantage they were going to have because of what you guys committed to this fall. I remember you guys preaching that and believing in it wholeheartedly. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, your guys saw that benefit. And I think about all your kids and how they were able to contribute at a high level as sixth graders to their middle school teams. And I think about, Mason and Cohen and Adkins, and the list goes on and on. All those guys, they were ready the moment they stepped on that middle school field because they had that experience. So credit to you guys. I hope your folks saw those things pay off. I know I did. That was awesome to see. They were no doubt ready when that time came.
Yeah, and back to the original question, about preparing our kids for middle school. I think we talked earlier about Grant making a commitment to hire a lot of the high school area coaches, and beyond that, I think Athletes Lab needs to be an asset to all the middle schools and high schools in the area. There's so many travel ball organizations that drive that wedge right there, and we've got to break that wall down, knowing that we've got confidence and they've got confidence in us to develop players, to develop not only players, but develop players where they need them, where the school teams need them, not really where Athletes Lab needs them. Where does the school need them to play? And, I think I've reached out to middle school coaches several times. We are constantly trying to manage pitching workload there. Player development of what do they need, I'll say it again, it's not what Athletes Lab needs. It's what their middle school program needs, and it's what their high school program needs. So, and we've always been about trying to develop versatile baseball players. We've talked about it. We play players all over the field right now, and still to the day, I realize the time's coming. We got to get position specific and start working on where these kids will be playing in high school and middle school. But man, versatility, man, I just want to turn a bunch of kids over to a coach that, wherever you need them to play, they're ready. And I'll give a story this year. Kid, I've always pushed outfield play. That's where I played. That's what I love coaching. And at a younger age, let's be honest, nobody wants to play the outfield. But it is what it is, and the older the kids get, the more important those positions are. And I had a kid call me this spring and said, Coach, he said, get my first start this week, middle school. And this kid's a first-year player. He said, I said, where are you playing? He said, left field, man. He was jacked up. You know, I tell kids all the time, you can be the best shortstop, you can be the best first baseman, the best second baseman, whatever. But what are you going to do when that kid moves in from out of state and he's a stud shortstop, he's a stud first baseman, and coach says, hey, I need you to go play left field. I need you to play center field. I need you to jump behind the plate. You know, I don't want that player to look at that coach with a deer in the headlight look like, oh, my God, what did he just ask me to do? You know, take the bull by the horns and say, yes, sir, I got it. So, you know, call them utility players, call them what you want. But player versatility is a big thing that I try to coach there.
No, that's right. Versatility can never be a bad thing. You know, may give you an opportunity that otherwise you may not have had. You know, can get you on the field earlier than maybe you know you had thought. So agree there. And one message that Coach keeps hitting on, and I really hope rings loud and clear is the partnership that Athletes Lab really seeks to have with coaches in the area. One of the big goals and top priorities is to connect baseball people in the area, not drive that wedge that you had mentioned earlier. So, and it's been great to see. And, you know, obviously you talked about the high school and middle school coaches that are in the organization, but it's been great to see guys from outside the organization step foot in the facility, whether it's bringing their sons over, you know, coming to hang out and see the place, talk shop, whatever it is. You know, I think about Coach Matilde down at East Lincoln, the great things they've done down in Denver. You know, he was up during the middle school spring training with his son. Coach Barron, middle school coach at Riverbend, was over on Valentine's night with Kel hanging out, and really just connecting people is what it's all about. And that list goes on. So I really, really hope that message rings loud and clear. Staying on the topic of that jump to the big field, and we've talked about strength and size, obviously, is top of the list on what I'm fixing to ask. But where are some of the biggest areas where you've seen as you made that jump, maybe in the fall, you saw it early on and said, hey, we need to focus here if we're going to be ready in the spring? What are some of those things that you've seen where adjustments need to be made?
Just at this young level, you know, taking care of kids and making sure their arms are taken care of. You know, it's a big jump going from 50 feet to 60 feet on the pitching mound. And, you know, the more you can develop, the better off you are. And I saw early in the fall, you know, it's no longer you're going to get through a weekend with 4 or 5 pitchers. You're going to need 7 or 8. And, you know, without absolutely abusing somebody. And, you know, that's the biggest thing that I saw. And in first tournament this year, we were fortunate enough, I think, to send 8 kids to the mound. Wow. And at this age, let's be honest, just throw strikes. You know, that's the only way your defense is going to develop behind you is throw strikes, let those guys have a chance, you know, opportunities to make plays. But, you know, beyond that, you know, let's face it, are all 7 or 8 of those kids going to grow up pitching? No. But, you know, are all 7 or 8 of those kids going to have the opportunity to develop their arm strength over the next 6 months or 12 months? Yeah, absolutely. And arm strength is a big thing when you go to the big field. You know, it really shows who's got it and who don't.
No doubt. Our arm strength plays, we've said this before, no matter where I'm at on the field, our arm strength is going to show up either in one direction or another. So, you know, the stronger arms can be is certainly things that are going to help make that transition to that bigger field a little bit smoother. So, and couldn't agree more with throwing strikes. Coach Blake hit on that in the last episode of Outside the Lab, even at the D1 level. You know, one thing I tell our guys all the time, only halfway kidding, is, hey, we're not throwing to Trout and Yelich up there. You know, we're throwing to high school kids. Go attack the zone and you know, let's go play and keep this thing moving. So good stuff there.
I can't remember the statistic that he used on the podcast the other night, but something about if you throw a strike, 90% of the good things is going to happen to the pitcher.
That's right.
Yeah. You know, that stuck right there, man.
Yep, that phrase, good things happen when you throw strikes. Couldn't agree more. Let's go here kind of to finish up and let's talk about what's next. You know, I know you've talked about one of your goals was to get guys to the point where they're in middle school and you can turn them over. And what a fantastic job you've done getting them to that point. But really, they're there. I mean, those guys are in middle school, and while they're not, running headfirst into showcase ball, and they're not going to be on college campuses or anything this year or next year, they're really the guys in your organization that are on deck, so to speak. So talk about, what are you doing? And you've hit on a lot of these things, but what are you doing, and what's the 12 you guys doing to really prepare for that next step, which is showcase ball, whether it's on the field, off the field, things academically. What are you guys doing to prepare for that next step?
Yeah, great question there. And, showcase ball takes it to another level. And, I think our kids need to realize what it's going to take moving forward with training and just making a big commitment of, hey, I want to do this, because this is the age that kids either decide, hey, I want to move forward with my baseball career, or, no, I've had enough. And unfortunately, the 12U, 13U age is when that happens. You mentioned academically. Absolutely. I think I preach it all the time to my players. You can bat 400 with a 1.5 GPA, and you're probably not going anywhere.
That's right.
But you can be a 4.0 hitting 275, and somebody's going to find you a place on the baseball team because you're a good student and you're a good asset for that university or college. So, you got to get it done in the classroom as much as you get it done on the baseball field. And I'm glad you mentioned that academically there. Moving forward, who knows what's going to happen with this COVID thing? It's hard to put a plan together when you don't have a date. And I had a little, Google Hangouts with the team the other day, and we're not in this thing alone. Nobody has been through this. It's, whether it's travel ball, whether it's college ball, whether it's high school ball, or all the way up to the major leaguers. Nobody has got their body ready to play in January, February, went out and got to play a few games, and then had it ripped out from under them. So now what do? You got to regroup. You got to hit the reset button. You've got to get your body ready to go again for hopefully whenever we start back July, August, and be ready to go again. So it's a very weird time for all of us, and I don't think none of us have the answer of what's the proper way to get there, because none of us have went through it before. But starting back, it's not going to be, hey, they're going to release us next week and open things back up. Let's go play a tournament Saturday. Absolutely not. The major leaguers are not doing that. They're going back to spring training, playing 3 or 4 weeks, or training for 3 or 4 weeks before they play, and that's our plan. Also, we're not gonna rush back just because we all want to get out of the house and go play baseball somewhere. But we got to make sure our kids are taken care of, our arms are in good shape, and we're ready to go whenever that time may be.
No, that's right. I think one of the hardest things is as coaches, we're always planning. We're always thinking about what's next and how are we going to get there and what does it look like, and how do I get my team ready? And I think one of the toughest things is you and me can sit here and map out plan A, B, C, D. They can be the greatest things in the world, but until we get that go ahead, until we get some firm, this is when it's going to happen, none of that really matters. So the biggest takeaway from me is stay ready, do the things that you need to do. And it was interesting. I was listening to a podcast the other day. A guy said, everybody's looking for an advantage. That's what we're talking about. Whenever we come out of here, who's going to have the advantage? Who's going to have the leg up? And his quote that stuck with me was, advantage is going to go to the innovators, to the folks who are continually seeking better ways. And I think that's what you and your guys are doing. You talk about virtual team meetings, which I know a lot of our teams have done. Those have been awesome. Guys are continuing to work out virtually with Ryan and Audra. They're doing things on their own. They're staying connected to each other. And those are going to be the things that serve us well down the road this year and beyond. So awesome stuff. Coach, can't thank you enough for carving out time. I know you're a busy man and a lot going on. Appreciate you coming on and offering some insight. Man, there was a ton of good stuff there, a lot of good nuggets we can take away. Any closing thoughts from you or final comments?
Yeah, you talk a little bit about who's being innovative. You guys have did an excellent job, and Audra and Ryan, with the virtual workouts every week, and you guys are constantly sending out stuff to send out to our teams and players, and it's on them at this point to take that stuff and grow on their own. And it's tough. It's tough for kids at 12 or 13, to take ownership in that and make it happen. But unfortunately, but fortunately, they're going to have to do that. And I think it's a great time in their life to realize that, hey, mom and dad's not always going to be there. You're going to have to do it on your own. And I think that's a very important lesson that we need to be teaching our kids right now. But you guys have thrown it out there, man. With strength and agility, even going back to the spring, we offered spring training. We had pitching, we had hitting going on, we had infield. So, do you expect kids to take all that in? No, but they need to take, like as you say, a nugget here or there and really concentrate on that area. But, closing comments, guys, just, I always talk about kids, just be athletic. I don't care what sport it is, football, baseball, basketball, just be an athlete. Way down the road, somebody's going to find a place for an athlete to play. So I think that's very important. And, honestly, these kids don't know what kind of opportunities they have in front of them. All of them have a wonderful opportunity. All of them have a wonderful facility, and I know some of them get in their mind, God, I got to go to practice today. And I tell my kids all the time, there's a lot of kids in the world that say after practice, oh God, I got to go home. So, think about it that way. You got a wonderful opportunity, take advantage of it, because there's a lot of people in the world that would love to have your opportunity.
That's right. Awesome way to end, guys. The opportunities are there. Take advantage and be ready when we get to go back. Again, Coach, thanks again for coming on. Coach Duckworth, 12U with Athletes Lab. Thanks for catching up. Hope to see you on the field soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.